Jazz hands.
Jazz hands. Hello, everybody. We're back. Another episode of Day After Show here in San Francisco after night one at the Warfield. Neil, how are you doing today? You're not in San Francisco, obviously, but
Still in Boston.
still in Boston.
Great day. Did not watch the show last night with everybody. I caught the drive, and I caught all of the drive because
Look at
it wasn't
that.
that long.
All 8 minutes?
Yeah, I caught all 8 minutes, and then I went to sleep. But
Wow.
yeah, man, caught the rest of the show today. Excited to talk about it. Jealous of the fact that you're in San Francisco. Like, you're staying in a very nice hotel, I can see, with like the art behind you. I mean, look at this.
It's a good pod backdrop.
I mean, you got a heck of a backdrop.
I should angle it better.
Sure.
Yeah, man, it was a fun show last night. Looking forward to Friday night meal tonight. Who's going to do the set list? Which is great. So I don't have to. I'm not going to stay awake, he says, but we'll see you at 3:00 in the morning your time, of course, as always.
Sure.
So before we get started, before we bring on our guest, and obviously before we talk about last night's show, quick word from our sponsor, who is Beekeepers Naturals. Powered by nature and obsessively tested, Beekeepers uses potent ingredients like propolis pollen and royal jelly and steers clear of added chemicals. In a day and age where we want to boost our immune system as much as possible, Beekeepers Naturals has many products from lozenges to gut health supplements to support us and tap into the magic of nature. Personally, I don't leave home without one of their propolis throat sprays, which has been saving my life going into my 8th show of this tour so far. So use code STORMSOUND at 20% off your order at beekeepersnaturals.com. Get yours. Friend of the pod, Mark Comito, can vouch for the fact that the propolis spray is great. He had some in Seattle. Anyway, yes, we've got.
Hold on.
Yeah.
You shared the throat spray?
What doesn't go in your mouth?
Well, you refused to share the throat spray with me. Remember? You were like, nope. And I was like,
I don't remember that. Let's bring Matt on. Hi, Matt. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks.
Welcome to the pod. We're very excited to have you on today. Talk about last night's show. We are very excited to see that the chat is already in fine form once again. We have Jesse is always curious, Neil, about why you're always wearing a sweatshirt. We've never seen you in a t-shirt.
Jesse always says that, yet you always wear a hoodie too. And
Not
he does
always.
not remark on your hoodie.
I'm generally in a t-shirt when I'm at home. We walked in the door like 10 minutes ago, so I haven't taken off my sweatshirt yet. Yeah, almost always bickering.
That's what we do.
Always almost bickering? Who knows?
Like, pretty much always.
All right, Matt, how are you doing?
I'm great.
How were you?
Well, so I live in San Jose, and this was my 5th show, all in California.
Nice.
So I saw Fish last week, and it was quite a different experience going to the Greek Theater than coming to the Warfield.
Right.
And not waiting in line for an hour and a half or whatever it was at the Greek. So, it was really fun. I got a VIP last night, and on the floor, and it's really worth it. I'm not paid to say that, but it is actually a really, really great deal. And so, and the people up front were really kind. I had a really nice experience. I think I was like 2 people back. So I don't know. I think that's pretty cool.
We have people noticing that you do have last night's poster already framed behind you there. Matt works quickly, people. He does not waste time on debating where and when to frame his posters. I
bought a frame earlier this week, and I was saying my wife approves of last year's poster, which is here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she will want me to keep this up in her bedroom, but we'll find a spot for it eventually.
I love it.
I was saying before that Zaz Corp print is the best. It is so good.
So cool.
I was hoping for another Zaz from this run. Didn't get it. That's okay.
Maybe for the Fox in the fall.
We'll see.
We shall see. Well, you kind of said so. You were right up front last night on the floor, which is awesome. I was kind of at the back of the floor for most of the show. Ended up moving up front towards the end. I thought the venue was great. Going into it, I heard, like, obviously there's the legendary reputation of the Warfield as a venue, but I heard coming in, like, it sucks. It's a shithole. There's going to be no space. It's really, really hot. Like, yeah, it was a little schwitzy in there. I think the Seattle theater was hotter than the Warfield, quite personally.
And it was probably the hottest day in San Francisco this year.
Yeah.
So, and today too. So, I was very comfortable.
I was doing great, and the sound was amazing. It's really interesting. The sound is great, everywhere I was in the venue, but it sounds so different under the balcony versus in front, which makes sense. But I would say that the sound underneath the balcony is still really, really good.
It's good. What did you think? Like, was it too low?
No, I just thought it was like, it didn't sound muffled or that something was missing, whatever. But as soon as I stepped out from underneath the balcony, it was so much clearer. So it wasn't bad before. Like, it was still great. I could still hear everything that was happening. It was just on another level.
Yeah. Very intense highs, right?
Yes. So. Yes, we are getting Mom on the pod tomorrow. She's coming on the pod tomorrow.
Oh, awesome.
Yes, to give the tour ending report. But Neil, how was your morning listen? What set the scene for us?
Well, before I set the scene, just want to say this was the 30th anniversary return for Ryan's mother to
you are right. Warfield. You were right. 30 years ago, the last time my mom was at the Warfield was for Garcia and Grisman in 1993. Oh. So she saw Jerry. She has cred.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So just wanted to highlight that for everybody else. Man, I did fall asleep at Drive. Happy knows.
Everyone knows.
I announced it. But yeah, went to bed early, caught the show this morning. We've been spoiled so far this tour. We've got free streams. That's amazing. And then we also have boards before any normal person wakes up in the morning.
They're called Borfs.
Yeah, Borfs. But not today. Not today. The day that I really, really wanted to listen to this show. So I listened to roughly, maybe 2 hours of music, but spent like another 2.5 hours just trying to use the seek function on the Nugs on my phone. And that was super annoying. But yeah, did manage to listen to the show. And, not the schwitzy Warfield Theater, but it was annoying. It kind of sucked, but.
So you had your own experience with it.
I did have my own experience.
Let's dive into this show. Let's start talking about it. We start off the first set. We've got Drive. We've got Jive 2. We've got Lead the Way. I think a great opening trio of songs. We talked about the last time they played Drive, kind of the new role it's found itself in. And while it is great in this role, there will always be the shadow of its former jam vehicle status as recently as 6 weeks ago at the Cap. I hope this is not a permanent thing. This is now 4 drives in a row, I believe we had with no jam, just a straight guitar solo. So I'm hoping that this comes back. I need some drive jams in my life. And I think it'll be very, very, very exciting when that does happen. Yes, Came to Play. Cap was the last jammed one. And then after that, Jive 2, always fun. Nice clav tweet action happening in there. Happy to see this one back in regular rotation, of course, after being missing for long gaps last year. And then Lead the Way, which it's back in regular rotation. I hope it's here to stay. Very, very happy to hear this one pop up again. Not crazy long, nothing crazy happening here, but I love this song, and I'm really happy that it's being played multiple times here. Matt, what did you think of these first 3 songs?
It's really high energy start to the show. Yeah. And Jive 2 sounded really sweet to me. Like it really reverberated through the theater, when everybody dropped out. Lead the Way seemed really short to me. Mm-hmm. And I guess most of the time when I've heard it, I wanted to point out, so I've seen the last San Francisco shows and then High Sierra, and the whole first set were songs that they hadn't played in any of those shows.
Nice.
So I think it seems like they did that on purpose, right? It's not an accident that the whole first set is new to the San Francisco crowd, pretty much.
Yeah. It was interesting to me, too. There was a lot of chomping happening last night at certain times throughout the show. Yeah. Like early on in the Lead the Way jam, there were a lot of people talking. Could also be I was further back
That's the thing. You
where
can
that tends
find
to
a
happen,
louder spot in the
Yeah.
Warfield where it doesn't matter. People
Right.
can't chomp. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
So could have been better. But Neil, you got any thoughts on these first three?
I mean, not much to say. And with you, it's exciting that, Lead the Way gets a 4-show gap or 5-show gap, depending on how you count it. But yeah, I mean, exciting stuff. Short drive, again, bummer. Yeah, backgrounds do matter. I just redid my kitchen, and I'm in my kitchen right now. And so it's a blank canvas behind me. So
Anything
there's
is possible.
nothing.
It's a
I
metaphor.
mean, it's possible.
There's an amazing view through that wall, right?
No,
It's
no,
the
no,
Boston Harbor.
no, God, no. I live nowhere special in Boston. You'd see just like a street and then my neighbor's house probably.
Okay.
So yeah. So yeah, man. There's not much to say. Jive 2, yay.
And then and then
can we talk
after
about?
that? Oh yeah.
I just want to say this Jive 2 helped me create a GIF of Ryan actually in the act of collab tweeting. So I'll drop
thank
that
you to my mom
Twitter.
for getting that.
Yeah, I'll drop that on Twitter later.
It's good. There it is. All right. So after that, we get SOS, then we get Bob Dawn, and we get Pancakes to close the set. SOS, so happy to hear this one. Always, every SOS is the best SOS since the last SOS until the next SOS. 15 minutes of pure joy, soaring guitar, and just amazing energy. This felt like the Chompers were like, okay, I'm gonna not talk and I'm gonna dance and listen to this jam. So that was exciting. Bob Dawn, heavy rock vibes as it's been lately. Still looking for the without, especially in the first set. I'm looking for the with. Sorry, not looking for the without. Looking for that with. Looking for that Bob Dawn with. And then Pancakes. We get a very, very nice jam in here. Starts off kind of typical Pancakes fashion, very driving, very piano led. Then they pivot into this beautiful, beautiful major key jam, and then close it out very nicely. But it was an amazing way to close out the first set. Great first kind of extended improv of the night. Matt, what were your thoughts on the second half of the first set?
Yeah, I wanted to listen to SOS this morning again, and I had trouble finding it on the app because it kept bouncing back and forth. My finger. So your fingers are too fat to use the slider. So that really was the standout to me, was the SOS, and I did like the Pancakes a lot. And yeah, I don't think there was anything more that I had noted.
Mm-hmm.
I did. It was good finish, and seemed like good timing for everything for the first set. I mean,
so Haps, to answer this question, any reason why you don't put Dawn on the set list with SOS? So same reason why Satellite is not noted every time they play So Ready. It is part of the song. It was tracked separately on the album, just because that's the way they did it. The only time Dawn has been noted was when they played that section of the song separately from SOS. So, which they did in Tempe 2022. So if that does ever happen again, then it will be noted separately. Otherwise, it's just SOS. Hope that answers your question. Neil.
Controversies abound. Just like tackling these controversial topics. I'm with you, by the way.
There's a lot of controversy around the lgoose.net set list. No, I cannot rephrase my answer.
I think the controversy is just me giving you a hard time. But
probably.
Yeah, man, SOS. What can we say about SOS that hasn't already been said on this podcast? It crushes every time. Stoked that you guys got that. I love this set. If you look at this set as a whole, as far as first sets go, killer. Absolutely killer first set. And nothing makes a show more fun than an SOS right in the middle of your first set. And then Bob Dawn Pancakes. I mean, come on. That's, Bob Dawn, always good. Just like SOS. You're not going to get anything outside the box.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It is always going to be somewhat the same. Doesn't matter. Absolutely kills. And a Pancakes close a set is awesome. Just bangers.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
just bangers all night.
Yeah, and one thing I think, people who are like, oh, not enough jams, whatever. I think one thing that we need to remember is that we have been spoiled as Goose fans that we are, that the band has played so many like 4 and 5 songs first sets where they'll drop 2 20-minute jams and, be going type 2 all over the place and whatever. And really, there's nothing wrong with a really solid standard first set. And you still have a huge jam in this Pancakes. So, when they're going to come out and they're going to play these amazing songs like this, like, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun.
And I always wonder, what do they think the crowd wants? Because there's the hardcore jam fans, and then there's the people who it's their first show.
Yeah.
And, they want to hear songs that they heard before and like,
So Matt, I just want to underscore what you just said, because I think we forget that sometimes on this podcast. They're most certainly not writing these set lists for us. That is a fact.
Definitely not.
Oh God, if they
You're
ever allowed us,
yeah, part of it's for you.
Yeah, part of it. I mean, the part that they feel like playing. But if we were allowed to write set lists for this band, I think there would only be a scant few of us that would listen to them. It would just be like 2-song sets and whatever. But in any case, they're writing this for the fans. If you're at the show, this is a killer set. You're having an amazing time. You're not gonna, mention it 30 years from now about first set at the Warfield first night. I saw this amazing jam, but does that have to be that way? I don't.
Right.
I don't think it does.
I agree. And now it's time to talk about the set break. What the vibes were like, what the bathroom was like. I will give credit to the efficiency of the Warfield bathroom. Not the nicest bathroom I've ever seen, but it was quick, except for the fact that there was only one sink. People were moving through relatively quickly. Like there wasn't a lineup up the stairs, but it was weird. I heard like 2 different guys like walk in while I was in there, and as I was leaving, being like, "What? Only one sink?" Like it was a hotly debated issue. So
yeah, it's definitely an old theater problem, right? They have the bathroom's not on the first floor at all. You have to go downstairs or upstairs, and they didn't plan it very well, right? Like a new theater would. Upstairs, there was a bathroom attendant in the balcony. I usually go upstairs because the line's shorter.
Yeah.
And there's a guy in there who I don't really think works for the theater. He's just always there. And he's super cool. He plays, it's worth a trip tonight. He plays like Frank Sinatra and, has, mints and, gives you a towel and stuff like that and works for tips. And he's an awesome dude. So, and that's usually a better line. So check it out.
So be careful. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, like, one thing I noticed at San Francisco shows is that you can always get a drink pretty fast. There's rarely any line.
Yeah.
Did you feel like that?
Yeah, there were a good number of bars around the venue as well. And I noticed that there was, like, during the show, there was no line at the bar at the back of the floor, like Peter's side. And I think there's also, like, there were a ton even in the room. So I don't think, at some venues you're all concentrated on 1 or 2 bars where then there will end up being a huge line. But I think it was nicely spread out. So there were no issues there. Yeah. Anything else on set break, or shall we talk about the second set?
What was Neil going to say? I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, be really careful about accepting mints from a stranger in San Francisco who's just like choosing to be. I mean, hey, it's San Francisco. But that sounds incredible. I have never seen a bathroom attendant at a Goose show, not even at Radio City, which it looked like there should be a bathroom attendant there. I can't believe I'm talking during the segment on the podcast because I said the segment should die. But here we are. Man.
Did anybody get a report on the ladies' room? I didn't.
So.
My mom said my mom's report on the bathroom is that it was vile.
It was vile. There you go.
So let's talk about the second set here. We open up with Whip It into Animal, and then Missed Dragonfly. So this Whip It, it seemed like they walked on and Peter started playing the beginning of Animal, and then they were like, "Oh, let's play Whip It." Like, it wasn't on the set list. They audibled Whip It to open the second set, which is just so weird. But this was the most engaged moment of the show so far, at least in terms of the crowd. Like, people were singing along, people were into it. And I mean, it's fun. It's like, 2-3 minutes long. Like, okay.
Well, so there was the happy birthday segment
Yes,
right before that.
Of course. Thank you.
With a pretty cool candle contraption. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I couldn't. What was interesting about it? I couldn't.
It
see
was like this weird candelabra thing that was rotating on top of the cake with
Ooh,
all candles on it, and
that's fancy.
it was pretty fancy. And I was thinking maybe she asked for Whip It. Like maybe they said, "What do you want to hear?" or something. And I don't know. Is that possible?
Interesting. Sam doesn't strike me as like a
Devo head
super fan, but I don't know.
Yeah, that feels like a troll, and she doesn't strike me as somebody who would like troll the band that she manages. But like, I don't know. You never know. She might just like really dig Devo, and like that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark Mothersbaugh is awesome. He's absolutely awesome.
You've got a point there, Neil.
So, but we should take a moment and just say happy birthday, Sam King.
Yes.
You're incredible. Thank you for everything that you do, because without you, we wouldn't have this podcast to talk about this band.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah, without her, the band would probably be lost somewhere.
Yeah, somebody, this reminds me of like, sorry for the brief anecdote, but somebody once did like a thread on Facebook, like if you were ever like stranded somewhere and you needed somebody to bail you out, which member of the band would you have come save you? And I was like, screw those guys.
Sam King.
I'll take Sam King or Mark.
Well, I don't know her, but I appreciate that they're coming back to California regularly for an East Coast band. That's pretty cool. So
must be nice to have them play where you live.
Yeah, exactly.
Must be nice.
Oh, that's right.
Someday, Ryan. Someday.
Trevor isn't allowed in Canada. Is that right?
There's no truth to that.
Okay.
I haven't heard that rumor.
Nothing about that. Well, anyway, after Whip It, we get Animal, always fun, solid, version again, not going anywhere interesting. And then here's where the set starts getting interesting. So they start Mist. I'm kind of like, okay, weird set list calls. I guess they're going for the party show vibe. And then, after the song ends, when the jam usually starts, they just went into this kind of spacey zone. And usually when they do that, they'll do that for like 30 seconds and then just completely abandon the Mist jam and start up a new song. So I figured that was happening. And then the space started expanding and things started happening. And, immediately comes to mind like, oh, here's the Dragonfly vibe again. Like, we talk about it all the time. Like D is a big proponent of the Dragonfly vibes. And it's a theme they touch on a lot, and they have been a lot in the last year or so. And so I was like, oh, like, this is a really cool spacey jam, whatever, great vintage vibe. And then Peter plays the opening riff of Dragonfly. He's the first one to do it. It was not on the set list, but he's the first one to do it. And I was like, are they going to do it? Like, is this real life? And so I'm waiting, like, whether it's going to be like a Peter teased Dragonfly or they actually played it. So I'm just waiting for Rick to hit the riff. Because like the drummers were playing it, Trevor was kind of getting in there, and then Rick finally plays it. Mm-hmm. And I I was very, very excited. This is, of course, a bit of a bust out here. 79 show gap. Last played at Legend Valley last summer. I did not cry during Dragonfly. I was just
75 show gap.
Okay.
76 show gap.
All right, Neil. But this is a really amazing spacey jam that happens in between Mist and Dragonfly here. Highly recommend listening to it. More of that textural Goose that we heard in the Born from Eugene. And a few other jams this tour. But Matt, tell me about what you were feeling during this Mist Dragonfly. Like,
so I love Mist. It's probably my top 5 songs. I just love the groove because it's so interesting and very different than a lot of their grooves. The syncopation maybe or something, and I love the segue was so seamless. Like I listened to it again today, and I really couldn't pick out when Dragonfly started. That it just seemed like, oh, okay, they're into it now, and it's there. And I just have to say, like, Dragonfly must be so exhausting. Like it was exhausting for me, but for the drummers, it must be like a huge energy wash or something, because I guess they played Redbird after we'll talk, and it seems like they definitely need a break. I don't know. I'm curious how they feel, or if it's just kind of just a little bit of a speed up for them, or if they're really having to cruise through it. But yeah, it was so fun. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, the to underscore your point, the drip drums were in full effect towards the end of this set.
Yeah,
and it was
but we're not there
crazy.
yet.
We're not there
talking
yet.
about that yet.
But okay, so we're not talking about that yet. But we're talking about Dragonfly, and yes, Into the Mist just melts into Dragonfly. It is so good. And
So
as
good.
far as segues go, that is pretty incredible stuff.
Yeah.
And I listened to it like a few times. Like Matt, I was trying to figure out really where it began. Because like you said, Ryan, they played this Dragonfly theme all the time. There are two themes that kind of show up in Goose jams really, really often.
Yeah.
And it's Dark Horse and Dragonfly. You can hear either almost every night if you listen really, really close. You'd be like, oh, that's like Dragonfly. But so you just don't know where it really begins. And it's just so beautifully done. And they couldn't have picked a better song to do it out of.
Yeah.
I mean,
unexpected too.
Mist, Dragonfly, absolutely killer. Can't wait to listen to this like a zillion times because I'm going to. Loved it.
Yeah, yeah. You know, we're big proponents on this podcast of the finished Mist, especially one Jive Goose. But this is a well worth the unfinished Mist, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the best Mists actually are unfinished. We do harp on the finished Mist, but like, you get really good segues out of Mist.
It's true.
You get really good segues into Mist too, into the Mist, which we like to say.
Into the Mist, yes.
But yeah, I mean, killer, absolutely killer.
Yes. All right. Well, now let's talk about the jam of the night. In my opinion, let's talk about this Redbird. As you mentioned, Neil, this is a drum clinic. Spuds and Jeff have been on an absolute tear, especially in the past couple of weeks. The second leg of tour has been all about the drums for me, especially. Like Jeff has been so present in the jamming and so present in the mix too, in a way that he has not been previously. And I talked about this a lot on our last episode, talking about the Eugene show, and it's come up a whole bunch of times. But this time it wasn't the dual drums lock the whole time. Jeff was doing some really amazing percussion stuff that was right at the forefront. And it felt like Rick was playing very percussively and really letting the two drummers lead the improv for a while on this Redbird. So I thought it was absolutely incredible listening to them lock in like that once again. Matt, how did you feel about this?
Yeah, I loved the quiet parts in the jam of Redbird, and they got into this like step down. It was like a 4-note step down jam, and it was like doom 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 doom. You know, stepping down that way. And when they hit that last part, it was a bomb every time. It was like really vibrating the venue.
Yeah.
And I really loved it. It was such a good bass line to solo over. And I thought they really held on to that for quite a while, I think. I mean, there's a good 4 or 5 minute segment there. So yeah, it was really enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you watch the webcast, is when the lights are saying Goose is during
at the
jam.
peak. Yeah.
Yes.
Peak. Yes,
So
came to play. I do also.
fun.
Sorry, yeah. I just want to say good point about cool guitar effects in Redbird. Rick was utilizing that kind of chirpy, like, you know, whammy octave up at times, which gives it that like kind of like dissonant or kind of like a little bit of a manufactured feel to his tone, which worked really well with how present the drums were. You know, that industrial kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. This Redbird is very good. It's very good. Although it at points sounds like a Creatures jam, which I thought was pretty interesting. And maybe that's just like my short listens to it. But it did have that kind of Creatures-y, like right on the edge of that klezmer-y vibe that they get in Creatures that I'm always talking about. But yeah, it was, I mean, it's pretty great. And, you know, Jeff played amazing. I think that big kind of bass sound probably was Jeff hitting the pad.
Yes.
And then he was so he was all in that neighborhood. So he's hitting the pad, and then he's also hitting the hell out of the cowbell. And dude, Jeff on cowbell absolutely rules. It's so good.
That makes sense, because I was watching Trevor and I was trying to see the note that was causing that, and I couldn't see it. So yeah, it does make sense that it was
that
Jeff.
sample.
He's got that incredibly like low bass sound sample on that thing, and percussively is not a word. Just want to correct Ryan on that. Bless you, Brian.
Thank you. My allergies have started as soon as I entered California. It was like, hi, welcome to pollen and all the spring things that your sinuses are going to hate.
I mean, this is boring, but we had a ton of rain, and now we're paying for it. So,
gross. Anyway, I did. Sorry, Matt, just one more thing, and then throw it over to you, Matt. I did, yes, again, bent like rope. Jeff, thank you so much for pointing this out. The Trevor Peter gooey goodness early on was what did it for me. Yes, there was so much interplay happening between Rick and Peter and Trevor and Peter and Rick and Trevor. Like the three of them were just like feeding off each other, trading licks, but it was so smooth. It was amazing. There was so much great interplay in this Redbird too, not just one of them leading them through amazing improv. So yes, sorry, Matt.
Yeah, I was excited because can we call this the Warbird? Has anybody already done that?
You can be the first to coin the term.
Yeah, no.
Maybe it'll stick.
Oh gosh, you've given Twitter ideas.
The bird field.
Oh my god, the Warbird. It's too good too. Like I got to give you props. So, like that's a hell of a name. That's definitely
that came to me right in the middle of the jam last night. I was like, okay, this might be legendary. So
amazing, absolutely amazing.
And then not to step on it. So they go into the feedback part, which is kind of perfect for Magic Carpet, right?
Yes.
But when I feel like they should have played Your Ocean and then Magic Carpet. Yeah,
I agree
because that was such a heater, the Magic Carpet, so it was a great set ender, and then they played one more song.
Yeah, this Magic Carpet ride was fun. The crowd was really getting into it. Yeah. It was a ton of fun. It was good coming out of that jam, keep the energy high. People were into the cover, rip and rock and roll, man.
Rick was playing a lot of 16th notes during that jam, and I think he did it a couple times during the night, even on the low E string, which I thought was really cool. But it's like a way to really take things up a level is when he speeds it up so fast, and then it just goes back to more of a wailing guitar sound. It was really cool.
So I'm on record. I love Magic Carpet Ride. I don't care what anybody says. There are people on this podcast who hate the song and say, like, I've heard it a million times in my life. I totally.
Okay, first of all, there's one very curmudgeonly person on this podcast who is not here right now and shall remain nameless. Nobody will be able to guess who it is.
Magic Carpet Ride is just such a killer song. I mean,
it is.
The lyrics are stupid, but that's okay. I mean, it's a cover. It's like meant to be fun. And I mean, it is what it is. I've told this anecdote before, but when I was like a kid, I grew up in Connecticut, and we'd go see Max Creek a lot, and they would cover this song from time to time. Blew the roof off the place. It's just great. It's a killer song. I mean, if they played it all the time, I'd probably get really, really sick of it. But if you throw this in like twice a tour.
Well, but this was also the first one in 51 shows.
Yeah. When was the last one?
St. Louis in October.
I don't even remember. But yeah, killer. So much fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. And it's the coming back to the verse again at the end is really a cool moment when it's just like, okay, it's going to get more and more discordant until suddenly they're just going to be, it feels like it comes out of nowhere when they kick right back into the verse.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. And then felt like they had a bit of a debate on, do we end the set now? Do we do another one? Whatever. I think it would have served them well to do the encore break there and then play Your Ocean Butter Rum as the encore.
Yeah,
personally.
Exactly.
But so you're like the end of Magic Carpet Ride was when I kind of moved forward up to like that second tier of the floor, Peter side. And as they went into Your Ocean, it was like, oh my God, the sound here is incredible. Just the way the vintage vibe sounded. Every note Trevor played was like vibrating through the floor underneath my feet. It was amazing. I absolutely adore Your Ocean. There are some people who don't like this song. I don't understand that. It's an incredible song. It's an amazing ballad. The solo rips, like it was a great power ballad last night. But man, this was great. I loved it. Great sound, and just a lot of fun here. Matt, what did you think of the Eurocean?
I liked it. I'm not that familiar with the song. I think I've heard it one time before on
Yeah.
tape. That's probably it. So it was pretty new to me, and I like the soaring. And I think just in a different spot, it would have been better. But and I was thinking, like, I guess they gotta end the set here because they're probably running out of time.
Yeah.
So
I just want to point out, this is a historic moment. This is the first time we've talked about Eurocean on this podcast, and you have not called it your favorite second set landing pad. This is the first time. This is the first time ever.
It still is my favorite second set.
This is the first time you haven't said that, and I just wanted to point that out.
It wasn't a landing pad here.
I know, but it's a historic moment. It wasn't a landing pad. It was a set closer.
Is this that historic of a moment?
I think it is. I felt the need to point it out. I don't know.
All right. Neil felt it.
I did feel it. Not a bad way to end the set. That was an absolute heater of a set. A lot of heat, and then you just get a cool down right before encore. Not bad. I don't know. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, and then Peter comes out for the encore. This is going to be a sing along, he said. And at that point, it's like, okay, like they're going to play Butter Rum. We got one lyric from Spuds, one singular "Hey Butter Rum" into the microphone. One. So for all those keeping track at home,
I do keep track of that, and that makes me sad.
He should be singing every Butter Rum and every Love Light. He should be singing. That's
true. I agree with that. I think more Spuds on Love Light.
People for more Spuds vocals on those specific songs.
Yep.
But it was fun. It was a fun Butter Rum. It went pretty quickly. Spuds, as soon as the jam started, Spuds kicked into that like really driving 4 on the floor thing that he does. And then Rick just went like, Guitar God for like 5-6 minutes, however long it was. 10 minutes. I don't know. But it was hot. It was awesome. And, they closed out very, very nicely.
I was noticing, like, I kept thinking, okay, they got to stop at 12 maybe. And then they blew right through that. Not crazy long after that, but it did seem like, okay, they're really not going to like cut this too short, which was cool. And that was my first time seeing Butter Rum live, and I like the interaction with the crowd. And I don't know if you can hear that on a lot of the tapes, at least the call and response kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that was pretty fun. So and the crowd seemed to love it for sure.
I think I've gotten less jaded about Rum encores recently.
I am constantly the voice that says, like, just because you don't love the song doesn't mean you have to hate the jam.
Yeah.
Butter Rum is always fun. It is always a good song. Is the song cheesy? Yeah.
See, and you call me a fluffer. You fluff everything.
I don't fluff everything. But I'm just
fluff
saying.
Life on the Shelf at this point.
We have not yet heard Life on the Shelf this tour. Maybe tonight's the night.
Maybe tonight.
Fantasy Goose players, tonight's the night. They're knocking them off the list, man. Dragonfly was one of the last few. So you get Life on the Shelf. What else do we have left?
Lily's Tiger, of course.
If you get that tonight, I swear to God.
I hope I do.
Actually, I hope you do too.
Maybe another Engborg.
Maybe another Engborg. But my streak will have ended. But yeah, so there's very few left, and maybe you get the shelf tonight. But Butter Rum, not fluffing Butter Rum, but I'm just saying, like, you don't have to immediately walk out of the venue when you hear Butter Rum, which I think there are some people out there in our friend group that would say that. Yeah, that would say that. But
yes.
Dark Horse, of course.
Yes, and Turkish.
I'd call that like a Character Zero song.
It jams more than Character Zero does.
No, what I'm saying is Character Zero is one of those songs where I walk out the venue as soon as it comes on, or to the bathroom or whatever.
I disagree. I love that song.
Okay.
But this is not a Fish podcast, of course. There actually is a fantastic Fish podcast that started 10 minutes ago that everyone should go watch after this. But
yep.
We have one show left at the Warfield tonight. This is my last show of the run here. Pretty incredible. My 16th show of 2023 so far. I'm incredibly lucky that I've been able to see so many. And, I'm very sad that I unfortunately have to miss the outdoor show tomorrow night in San Diego. I would, after seeing them in all these indoor venues. I would love to see an outdoor concert experience. I've only seen Goose outside like I think 3 or 4 times in my now like 30 plus shows. So I'm excited to see them outside more this summer, of course. But being on Couch Tour tomorrow night's going to be weird. But we're not at tomorrow yet. We've got another show tonight. Matt, I hope to see you tonight at the
please,
show.
Anybody say hi if you run into me. Say hi, Matt. Introduce yourself. I'm just going to say the Warriors game is at 5 tonight.
Yep.
In town.
Oh.
So we'll be ending before the show starts, which would be interesting. You could go watch both if you want.
if you are so inclined. Do you know what ticket
so
prices are like for the Warriors game right now?
They're about $500 for the worst. So.
Okay, so there you go. That seems pretty reasonable. It's for the cost of like 2 VIP tickets.
Yeah, if you want to go to a bar or something and check it out, it'll be an interesting crowd.
All right.
Oh man.
Well, thank you for that, Matt. And Matt, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
All right, thank you.
We appreciate it. Have a fantastic show tonight.
Yeah.
And everybody.
Wait, before we go.
Yes,
just,
Neil.
You should do what I'm going to do, which is I'm going to immediately stop this podcast.
Yep.
And then I'm going to turn on HF Pod.
Yes.
Because they're recapping the tour. You should listen to
not this
Pod.
tour, of course. They're recapping the Hollywood Bowl Fish shows
yes.
from last week. They are our very good friends.
Yes.
All of them have been on this podcast at one point or another.
Yes.
And you just go to the Osiris YouTube channel. There are currently 7 of you who are already there. So, just like switch over to HF Pod. They're going to talk for a while. Very captivating content. Our good friends.
They've been crushing it lately.
Yes.
This is peak HF Pod. So you should go
HF Pod.
Yeah, it's like 77.
It's like winter 2022 Goose, but HF Pod right now.
Yeah,
okay,
for those like fall 97 of HF Pod. Like this is amazing stuff.
Hey,
so you should go check it out.
We're a Goose podcast here, Neil. We need to draw the Goose parallels. Okay.
Yeah, sure, fine. But in any case, yes, it is assumed that HF Pod is not going to talk about Goose, although RJ probably would if you gave him the chance.
Oh no! If you all come in the chat, okay. Actually, if you all switch over to HF Pod, please say that Always Almost There sent you. And that they should talk about Goose. Jonathan
it's the Almost Always There after show.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. The official Always Almost There after show.
I'm not saying that. I don't.
We're all
going to
go raid their chat. Is that how it works? I don't know.
No.
We'll be back here tomorrow at 12:30 Pacific, 3:30 Eastern to talk about tonight's show at the Warfield. So please tune in. We're going to have our very good friends Brendan and Becca, as well as my mother, on the podcast. So it's going to be a great episode. Do not miss it. Have yourselves a fantastic day, whether you are going to the show tonight or couch touring. Let us know your favorite parts of last night or tonight, or what you're hoping to hear. Tag us on social media at AAT Goose Pod. We will see you